Today, we're looking at a purple ink by Waterman Tender Purple. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. Now, there's timestamps down below so that if you're in a hurry, you can skip around. But if you got the time, I'd appreciate you checking out the entire video. You can also follow me over on Instagram, and if you're new here, I would invite you to subscribe. In order to make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do the writing samples. I then put the ink into this Sailor, my first pen with a medium fine nib, wrote with it for a day, and used it to take the notes for this video. In order to standardize some of my writing samples, I always use Clairfontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper for all of the inks. I do use other papers, and some of those will show up later in the video. Now, let's look at the writing sample. I picked this ink up in sample form, so it comes in a vial like this. And to keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a Goulet medium, and a Jinhao X750 with a Goulet extra fine. Let's take a look at the Clairfontaine. We get no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. Now the extra fine is just a hair lighter than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 10 seconds to dry. Medium is darker than the extra fine. It's a little bit darker than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 15 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation, and we don't get any. Tomoe River. No bleeding, normal Tomoe River ghosting. The 1.1 is no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is a little bit lighter than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 14 seconds to dry. Medium is by far the darkest tone on the page, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 20 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation, and we don't get it here. Rhodia. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 is no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is a tad darker than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 11 seconds to dry. Medium is, again, by far the darkest tone on the page, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 16 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't expect it, and we didn't get it. I agree with Vita that I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. I put a line of ink down and immediately dunk it in the water for 10 to 15 seconds. And we see that this is a true purple, not a mix. It pushes its way up, very light at the bottom, getting darker as it moves up as you would expect. Now the one on the right, I let dry for 10 minutes before I dunk it into water. And if it wasn't for me marking the filter paper, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the two of them. Resistance tests are done to see how well this ink can be expected to perform on the page and how hard it may be to clean from your pen. I let the smear dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, I would not use this in a note-taking situation just because of how much it is starting to blow out, and I do realize how easy Waterman inks are to take off of paper, so I wouldn't use it for that, but that's a dealer choice. There is only a little bit of blowout. Water is completely reactivating and lifting it off the page, meaning water is all that you would need to get this out of your pen. Pen flush is doing everything that water's doing and nothing more, so we're not going to need it. And in talking about not needing things, 1/3 bleach solution. It completely obliterates it, but it is not needed to get off the page. I test viscosity or flow with a tilt test that I'll link the video on how I do that. Now, for the inks I've tested, I have found an average viscosity of 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Waterman's Tender Purple has a viscosity of 1.85, making this a wetter ink. To find my average dry times, I use my writing samples done on Clairfontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. I average all of those. Now for the inks I've tested, I've found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with the realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Waterman's Tender Purple has an average dry time of 14 seconds, making its dry time normal. Instead of finding inks that look like Waterman's Tender Purple, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I wanted to go with a nice orange, so I chose Robert Oster's Red Orange. The second writing sample is done on yellow Rhodia, Life, and G-Lalo paper. Here we're looking at the yellow Rhodia paper, not to see the performance itself, but to see what kind of tone changes we can go through for having a yellow paper backdrop. And what it does is it takes this purple, and in the medium, it certainly makes it darker. It doesn't seem to have a great deal of effect on the extra fine, but on the stub, it definitely makes it lean a little more purpley. Up next is Life paper. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. The extra fine is just a hair lighter than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 9 seconds to dry. Medium is by far the darkest tone on the page, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 14 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation, and we didn't get it in the writing. Last up is G Lalo. It's a nice laid paper. It's gray, no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 is no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is slightly lighter than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 8 seconds to dry. Medium is by far the darkest tone on the page, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 11 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both show us no color variation, and we didn't get any, and that is all that I have for the writing samples. So what do I think of Waterman's Tender Purple? For the most part, this is a nice lighter shade of purple that doesn't offer much shading, but it's not horrible to read on the page. It's not my preferred purple, but if this was the first purple I came across, I would be very happy using it. So what nib and pen is going to give the best writing experience with this ink? A dry fine or medium just puts down too light a tone for my preference, but a wet medium or broad really puts down a tone that I find pleasing, and that's what I would prefer. If you've enjoyed this video, remember, I like thumbs up, you like thumbs up, everybody likes thumbs up. Unless you didn't like it, then give me the thumbs down. Both are good. Thanks for watching.